Welcome back to Hot Flash, your weekly hot air minisode, where I talk about whatever is grinding my gears this particular week in queer news. Maybe I share your personal stories or just talk smack about the latest Republican lawmaker arrested for being a creep. I'm Joshua Robert, your host, resident troublemaker, overthinker, loudmouth when it comes to calling out nonsense. And this week, we got a lot of nonsense that is ripe. I don't even really like that word. That's like when people don't like the word moist. I don't like the word ripe. Because this week, 2 male cheerleaders went viral, and you'd think that the world had completely ended. Not because they fell, or not because they got hurt, or some like weird event on the field, not because they ran onto the football field butt-ass naked mid-game and stole the football, but simply because they were existing. They cheered, they smiled, they did the damn thing, they did their damn job, and apparently that was too much for fragile masculinity to handle. So, we're going to get into the moment that apparently shocked the world, well, shocked the country. Like, literally, the guy who played Hercules on that old TV show, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he commented on a post that I saw today, and he said he was going to have to find a new team to watch because he was, I guess, so appalled by the male cheerleaders. And I commented back and I said, did you forget about the slutty little leather skirts you had to wear when you were on TV back when people had a clue who you were? And yes, I guess I was trolling. I've been doing a lot of trolling lately. I don't look for it. It comes to me, okay? And I don't regret it. But this episode is more than just dissecting why people were so offended by men dancing. I'm going to get into why people were so triggered, but more so a psychology standpoint. We're going to touch on toxic masculinity and why people understand exactly what that means and a bunch of other goodies to make sense of all of those little itty bitty egos. So, sounds like a plan to me. Let's hit it. Part 1. What triggered the straights? Let's break down exactly why this went viral. So, the Minnesota Vikings recently broke tradition by adding 2 male cheerleaders, Blaize Shiek and Louie Conn, and they added those 2 to their 35-member squad. It wasn't their first time including men, let's be clear. Male cheerleaders have been a part of the NFL for years, but this time, something snapped. Social media erupted, fans launched hate-filled tirades, homophobic slurs, and even threats to boycott the team just because 2 men had dared to hold pom-poms. But here is the thing. Male cheerleaders have deep roots, okay? Cheerleading was originally a men-only activity back in the late 1800s, okay? Let that sink in. And even former U.S. presidents like George W. Bush and Franklin D. Roosevelt once led cheers. As of 2025, 12 NFL teams now include male cheerleaders, up from 7 last year. This includes heavy hitters like the Rams, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Eagles, who I have no idea who those are, but maybe some of you listening do. So the Vikings stood firm. Their official statement reminded everyone that male cheerleaders were nothing new, both historically and within their own organization, and emphasized that Shiek and Conn, the 2 male cheerleaders that apparently caused a ruckus, went through the same grueling auditions as everyone else. They were picked for their talent, passion, and skill. And despite apparent fans saying that they were going to burn their tickets or just cancel the fandom, the Vikings confirmed that no one followed through. Meanwhile, Shiek and Conn handled the vitriol with grace. They posted a cheeky Instagram pic with the caption, "Wait, did someone say our name?" Which was them turning hatred into humor and still smiling through it. And I love the videos. I grew up as a dancer. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I was like, yes, get on with your bad self. I'm so here for it. Who the fuck cares? Part 2. What is toxic masculinity? Now, let's define it. Toxic masculinity isn't saying that masculinity itself is bad. Masculinity can be beautiful. It shows strength, courage, resilience. Toxic masculinity is when society says you can only be this way, and anything else, you're not a real man. Don't cry, don't dance, don't do art, don't show emotion, don't nurture, and for the love of God, don't be a cheerleader. So when a male cheerleader decides to exist outside of that rule book, insecure men do not know what to do with themselves because it threatens the whole system. And if one man can step outside of the box, it means maybe they've wasted years locking themselves inside of the box. So really, what it's doing is scaring men because they're like, oh shit, I can be anything? I can hold a pom-pom and prance around too? Damn, I've been living a lie. Part 3. I was a dancer too. So look, I get it. I was not a cheerleader, but I was a dancer, a competitive one, a professional one for over a decade. And let me tell you, I heard it all. That's girly. Why don't you just play sports? You're a faggot. You're this, you're that. All the things you can imagine, heard it, been there, done that. Meanwhile, I graduated high school, instantly went and danced on cruise ships. I was traveling the world, performing for crowds, doing things that most of the guys that made fun of me for could not even dream of, and even to this day, cannot even dream of experiencing, let alone putting their bodies through. But in their eyes, I was less of a man. So when I returned from my first cruise ship contract, the ones who used to bully me kind of changed their mind because one of them pulled me aside and he said, bro, I saw your dance video. How do you do that jump thing? And I'm like, you mean blah, 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 whatever it was. He's like, yeah, I've been trying to like figure it out. That's so cool that you can do that. Like, that's so dope. How are your trips? Like, just automatically as though they didn't bully me for years and suddenly thought what I was doing was cool and admirable. And I was like, isn't that funny? You mocked me so hard. And secretly, you actually respect me. Yet you couldn't admit it because the rules of masculinity would not let him. So that is your prime example of toxic masculinity. This guy for years would make fun of me and bully me. And when I came back and he saw that the things he made fun of me for made me successful, made me money, they were like, maybe we should have been a little bit gayer. It was just wild for me at 20 years old to experience that. Part 4, the psychology. So psychologists have a term for this. It is a gender role threat. When men see another man break the rules, it makes them feel insecure about their own masculinity. So instead of saying, wow, I feel uncomfortable, maybe I should unpack this, they lash out, they flip out because anger is the only emotion that men are just openly allowed to show. Truth be told, right before I did this, I'm not even going to lie to you, I punched a wall because I was so frustrated with my lighting setup today and everything was falling over and things were falling apart. And that's the most butch I feel. But like that emotion, anybody seeing that would be like, oh, well, he's a dude. He's a man. He's a this, he's a that. They'd be proud of me for showing that. But dancing, no. So it's projection. They're not mad at the cheerleaders. They're mad at themselves for wanting the freedom that they have. And maybe not in the exact same way, but they're mad because they gave up their own joy to stay inside of a box that someone told them they had to be in. And now someone's proving to them that they never had to be in that box anyway. Which leads me to part 5, the man box. And not like a fun, cute box, like not a good box, okay? So psychologists, they call this the man box. Inside, it's tough, stoic, competitive, unemotional, straight, aggressive, and outside, it's creative, sensitive, nurturing, fashionable, joyful, and a little bit gay. Step outside the box, other men will drag you right back in with insults. And that's what's happening to these male cheerleaders. They're not just stunting and performing, they are stepping out of the man box. And the men that are still stuck inside the man box cannot handle it. But here's the kicker. The box does not protect masculinity. It actually suffocates it. It limits men. It keeps you very one-dimensional. It keeps you from dancing at parties, from wearing what you want to wear, from crying when you feel like absolute shit, or cheering on a football field with a giant smile on your face. Men, no matter what your sexual orientation, you should be allowed to cry if you want to cry, scream if you want to scream, laugh if you want to laugh. Like, let yourself live free. Part 6, the gay panic factor. So, of course, there's the big, ugly piece, homophobia, because, of course, as I love to say, let's be real, a lot of backlash wasn't just about cheerleading, it was about sexuality and people being offended, stating that we're teaching children that it's okay to be that way. And motherfuckers, it is. So the assumption is, if a man does something feminine, he must be gay. And if he's gay, he's automatically lesser than. And that's the toxic logic at play. But even if these male cheerleaders are gay, so what? Who cares? What does their sexuality have to do with their ability to dance, to toss a girl 10 feet in the air? Well, the answer is nothing. But toxic masculinity teaches people that femininity and queerness are threats. And that's the sickness we really need to fight. Part 7, just a little bit of closing reflection. Here is my takeaway. The cheerleaders are not embarrassing. They are fucking inspiring. They are showing us what it looks like to live outside the box. That is defying the norm. That is standing up. They are choosing to claim joy and to be free. What is embarrassing is that in 2025, people still lose their minds over a man with pom-poms. The embarrassing part is that some guys are more threatened by a cheerleader than by their own lack of emotional depth. And quite frankly, education. Masculinity does not die when men dance. Masculinity dies when it becomes so rigid and fragile that it can't survive outside of football cleats. I don't even know if that's what they wear on their fucking feet because I could care less. But some sort of football equipment, insert it here. So maybe the real cheer we need is for every man who chooses joy over fear, expression over silence, authenticity over performance. Because the world doesn't need more men stuck in a box. We have, oh God, we have so many of those. Like they're currently running the country and fucking us over. It needs more men that are flipping and dancing and scooting, boogieing outside of that damn box, okay? And with that, thanks for letting me vent. But remember, masculinity is not about what's in your hands. I'm referring to a football. It's about whether you've got the guts to hold on to your true self, okay? Being true to yourself is more masculine than any type of these other toxic men can even fathom. And that's it. That is your Hot Flash mini-sode for the week. You know where to find me on Instagram and TikTok at _hotairpod. You can also head to my website and submit your listener stories, hotairwithjoshuarobert.com. And make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, you're sharing this content. Things are heating up out there. I am like so overwhelmed with all of the stories, the anti-LGBTQ plus politicians, gay marriage potentially being overturned. Every day, it's a new story. Today, it was the rainbow crosswalk that was painted as a memorial for the Pulse nightclub shooting that Governor DeSantis decided to pave over, which is insane to me. Talk about not being masculine. Like, you're literally so offended by a rainbow crosswalk. Wild. So my point is, we need to share these stories. It is so important. If we see a reel that speaks to us, send it to people. It doesn't have to be mine. It can be anybody's. Comment, share it in your own stories, repost it, retweet it if you're on Twitter, retweet it, share it on your TikTok, all the things. We got to start spreading the word because quite frankly, I don't know if I'm really hearing enough about all of these very important issues. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox and I'm going to go try to not be so angry and try to not be so masculine for the rest of the day. It's also 85 degrees here in my apartment in California. So pray for me. Thoughts and prayers. All right. I am done here. Until next time, I'll see you next Tuesday.